All right, good morning, everybody. Time for coffee and questions, and so grab your coffee and we will get right after this. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about different things that you can do in terms of art with your MIG welder or with any welder. But I'm going to focus in on a lot of the MIG welding because that's what I do. Is I do MIG welding. I have oxyacetylene, and I just don't do that much of it with the oxyacetylene. MIG is easy to learn and it's easy to do. The art projects are too. I'm going to change the screen and we'll start going through them and we'll discuss some of the art projects. And I've made some of these, but a lot of the pictures I've taken off of the web to give you different ideas. You can come up with your own ideas. You can add hooks to things, do a multitude of things, and make it your own design. I'm just giving you ideas. So let's change the picture and here we go. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the one on the upper left. Now this one's pretty easy to make. It's made out of small rectangular tube steel. And what the guy did here, and I've done this before, is you can take a chop saw or any method you want to cut, and you cut them an inch or two wide. I mean, whatever the width is that you want in your shop. And you cut up different sizes of these, and then you can set these on your welding table and kind of stack them around and see what looks pleasing to you. Now, when you're done, tack welding and MIG welding these up, you can turn around with that 4.5-inch angle grinder with an abrasive wheel on it, and you can clean up all of your welds. I would wipe it down with acetone then, and then you decide if you want to put primer on it first or if you're going to go straight to paint. Now, in the one up on the top left, I made one similar to this, and I used textured paint. And it was like a bronze, kind of like the color in the picture, but it was a bronze textured paint. You can get it at True Value, Home Depot, these places. It comes in a multitude of colors. And I went ahead and I painted it and I gave it away as a gift to somebody who thought it was really cool, that enjoyed it. Then they turned around, they brought it back and said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you just take some railroad ties, cut them and bend them at a 90, and we'll put them in different areas here, and I'm going to use it as a coat rack when you come in my entryway to my house. I said, sure. So all I did is I took the flap wheel, I weld prepped a little bit, I bent the railroad ties, and I welded them on there, and it made him a coat rack. So, you can do lots of variations. These are your own, design ideas that you come up with. These are just to give you a basic basis to go by, for you to play around and understand that it's not that hard. So let's take a look at the one right to the right of me. Now this one's a little bit cleaner. I mean, he cleaned this up. I don't think he's painted it or done anything with it yet. But you can see where he used different sized squares. He used the same kind of rectangular tube steel, and he made this one. And it's artistic and it looks good. Let's take a look at the one on the far right. Now this one, this was meant to stay very rustic looking, and he wanted the rusted look. And I think that that's fine. Now, my advice to you is, if it's going to be indoor, or look at the spray cans, but I use Rust-Oleum, 3 times gloss. You can buy it at big box, buy it anywhere, and if you want that rusty look, and it's rusted enough the way you want it, you can still turn around and put this gloss film over it, and it actually comes out really pretty and really nice looking. Now, you can also choose not to. You can use semi-gloss, you can use matte finish, you can use whatever you want. But I always put some kind of a protective coating over mine so that, the rust and the grime doesn't get picked up on people's hands. But you can do that, and that film finish works, fairly well. Or if you don't, and you want to do something in the way of this textured paint or another paint, then you want to clean this metal up really well before you start welding all these pieces together. So that's my advice on these 3. I'm going to take these down. Let's take a look at another few, and we'll conclude this, but this is to give you, like I said, some basic ideas. Give me one quick sec. Okay, let's take a look at the one on the top left here. Now this one's not that hard to do either. You can use 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, round cold steel, and you can cut these to different lengths or all the same length. Then you can turn around with the tube steel after you've used your chop saw or whatever method, and you've, cut these up. You can turn around and weld these together like he did on these little sticks of rod. Now, I had a friend that did this, and I was looking at this picture in particular with him. What he did is he turned around with his oxyacetylene setup, and he heated up like, the very lip on all of these, like kind of like what's here in the picture, and he used brazing rod. And he kind of made it look really old and really funky looking. And it actually turned out really nice. And then, like I said, he coated it the way I told you with the Rust-Oleum. And it looks great. I mean, it really does in his house. I mean, it's not meant to be, you know, perfect everywhere. And you can see, like, even in this picture, things are a little tilted or they're a little off, but it came out to be a really, really nice looking piece of wall art. Now let's take a look at the one on the bottom to my right. Again, this is made out of the same size tube steel, and this guy anchored it to a block wall. It's on the outside of a business or something somewhere. But this wasn't hard to do either, and you don't have to particularly do it this way. I mean, you could make something like this. You could add in square pieces. You know, you can make it into a coat rack. You can make it into, you know, whatever you want. This gives you just some basic design ideas on how other people have done it. Now, what to me is really interesting is this last picture we're going to talk about, and it's on the upper right. And these are these two cubes, and he has not put a finish on them at all. I mean, what he did is he went over all of his welds and made them kind of look like they're not there, pretty close. And then he used that same, 4.5 inch or whatever grinder he was using with an abrasive flap disc, and he put those marks all over the steel, which is really easy to do. And he's calling it a finished product at that point. Now, he's not going to do anything, more with it. And this was meant to sit like on a table or on a desk or something as just an intriguing piece of art. Now, I think that this is really cool. It's not that hard to do. It's going to take you a little bit more time because you got to put a little bit more thought in how to create these cubes interlacing each other. But it's not that difficult to do. I just haven't gotten around to going to the steel supply place and buying some steel to do it. But I thought that was a really interesting, and it's a really cool looking project. I am going to make it. I will do a video on it and show you exactly how I do it step by step when I get to that point. But this is like in some of the previous videos. I'm throwing these up here as ideas for you guys. You might have a scrap bin like I do, where I put lots of cutoffs and stuff like that, and I throw them in there and they sit there forever and I don't know what to do with them. You can play around, practice in your welding, and at the same time you can do something like one of these wall art projects. And if you don't like how it turns out, you were going to throw the stuff out anyway. And it gives you a chance, like I said, to practice your welding and your weld prep and things like that. So I would encourage you, get out there. These are fun to do. I don't sketch it out on paper. I just go out, grab the steel, and I play around after looking at a bunch of videos and a bunch of pictures, and I start putting something together. I weld it up, and if I don't like it, I just get rid of it and throw it out. If I like it and it looks cool, I'll finish it out. A lot of times I give the stuff away, but there are times, yes, I sell them, and it's like I always said, make sure you always take photos, keep them in a little category on your gallery on your phone and show them to people. Every once in a while, or in my case frequently, people will go, hey, I want one, can you make one? I give them a price and I go ahead and make it, and it fuels my hobby. I'm the home handyman. I'm just giving you some quick tips and ideas. I like to get right to the point. I hope you click subscribe, and I hope you keep following me. Give me a thumbs up. You folks have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video we do. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.